Everything you see in your world today began first as a thought, a mental picture held in the unseen realm of imagination. There is no exception to this truth. The phone you carry, the home you live in, the relationships you've built, each originated in the mind of someone who dared to imagine them real before they ever touched them. Imagination is not idle fantasy or mere daydreaming. It is the workshop of reality itself. When you imagine something clearly, vividly and consistently, you set a cause into motion. That cause, though invisible, moves through time and experience to shape itself as an event, a condition, or a physical thing. The moment you imagine something and feel its truth deeply within you, the seed is planted, and just like a seed in the soil, your imagined reality begins to grow beneath the surface, whether you see it or not. What matters most is not whether the world currently reflects your desire, it is whether you have dared to believe in the unseen long enough for it to become seen. Reality bends to sustained imagination. The outer world, contrary to what many believe, is not fixed or final. It is fluid, responsive, obedient. It yields to the inner state you consistently occupy. Your role is not to struggle with circumstances, but to dwell persistently in the state of being that matches your desired outcome. When you hold the image of yourself already in possession of wealth, already experiencing abundance, already living the life you dream of, you begin to draw it in. The energy shifts. The people, opportunities, ideas, and events you need start to align, not by effort or chance, but by law, the law that says, what you imagine, you become. And when you imagine with full acceptance that what you see inwardly is more real than what surrounds you outwardly, you begin to create deliberately instead of by default. To live in the end is to mentally and emotionally occupy the state of your fulfilled desire as though it were already your present reality. It means refusing to wait for outer confirmation and instead choosing to feel now what you would feel if everything you wanted were already yours. This is not pretense or wishful thinking. It is the deliberate act of creation from the inside out. You do not wait to see the millions in your bank account before feeling abundant. You feel abundant now. You do not wait for the perfect circumstances before acting with confidence. You act with confidence now, because you know the outcome is already secured. This inner positioning is not based on external evidence, but on a deep, unwavering decision to assume the end as already accomplished. Every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you reinforce a new state of being. And this state, once persistently assumed, becomes your new identity. You think from it, speak from it, and respond to life as the one who already has what they once sought. This shift is subtle but profound. It moves you from seeking to having, from hoping to knowing. Your outer world begins to bend to this inner conviction. People respond differently. Doors open where there were none. Opportunities arise that seem coincidental, but are simply the echo of your new inner world taking form. The world cannot help but conform to the dominant assumptions you live by. When you live in the end, you are not trying to make something happen. You are aligning with the version of you for whom it has already happened. This inner experience becomes more real than what your senses report. You wake up each day grounded in the reality of your fulfilled state. And even if the outer hasn't yet caught up, you remain loyal to that inner truth. The end is the anchor. It is the blueprint. When you live from it consistently, the path unfolds, not because you force it, but because it must. Persistence in the assumption is the quiet power that turns imagination into reality. It is not enough to briefly entertain the thought or occasionally visit the feeling of your fulfilled desire. You must remain loyal to it, especially when the world seems to contradict it. Assumption means you take something as true, and persistence means you refuse to let go of that truth, no matter what appears on the surface. This is where many falter. They imagine wealth, love, success, but when nothing changes quickly, they return to their old beliefs, their old reactions. But the process does not stop, because the outer hasn't yet moved. The outer world is slow, a shadow, a reflection of what was imagined before. To change it, you must remain fixed in the new assumption, unshaken by delay or doubt. You must hold to the state of already having what you desire, not just when it's easy, but especially when it feels hard. Persistence is not about effort or struggle. It is a gentle but unwavering insistence that what you have accepted in your imagination is real, here, and yours. It is the quiet decision to continue thinking from the end, speaking as though it's done, and feeling the truth of it even when circumstances tempt you to think otherwise. You do not argue with appearances. You simply continue occupying the state you've chosen. When you persist, reality begins to shift. You will notice subtle changes first. Your moods, your responses, your inner conversations. These are signs that the seed is alive. Stay in the assumption, and you begin to rewrite your destiny. The world cannot resist a mind that refuses to abandon its vision. The moment you take your desire as already fulfilled, and keep returning to that feeling again and again, you set in motion a law that must bring it to pass. Time may pass, but the assumption, if sustained, must harden into fact. It is not a question of if. It is only a question of your willingness to persist. The assumption, once made real within, becomes your world without. Everything you experience in the outer world is a mirror of the inner world you consistently inhabit. Circumstances, people, opportunities, and events all arise in response to your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and emotional states. The world outside is not acting upon you. It is reflecting you. The quality of your inner conversations, the images you dwell on, the feelings you nurture, these form the blueprint from which your reality is built. Most people attempt to change life by manipulating the external, working harder, chasing results, controlling others, but the real shift happens when you turn inward and begin to govern your internal state. If you feel lack, limitation, or unworthiness within, the world must echo that back to you. But if you begin to dwell in the state of wealth, success, and confidence, your outer world gradually aligns itself to match. This is not metaphor, it is law. You cannot entertain one emotional state inwardly and expect to experience its opposite outwardly for long. The outer is always catching up to the inner. Even delays or apparent setbacks are part of this reflection, showing you what still resides within your assumptions and beliefs. The more aware you become of this dynamic, the more intentional you can be in shaping your experience. You are not at the mercy of fate or circumstance. You are the cause. Change your inner world, and the outer must follow. The world has no choice but to reflect your inner truth, because it is not separate from you. It is your consciousness, objectified. When you grasp this, you stop fighting with appearances and begin investing all your energy in cultivating the inner state that matches the life you want to live. If you want to see millions in your bank account, you must first create the state of being a millionaire within yourself, not as a distant hope, but as a present knowing, not just in thought, but in feeling and identity. When you make that inner shift, life reorganizes itself to meet you at that level. People change, events unfold, opportunities arise, not randomly, but in response to the world you've built within. Thoughts alone are not enough to bring about transformation. It is emotion that gives life to thought, that charges it with power and magnetism. You may imagine something 100 times, but if it is cold, detached, and mechanical, it does not move reality. The moment you feel it, deeply, vividly, and with conviction, you set the creative process into motion. Emotion is what impresses the subconscious mind, and the subconscious is what governs your outer world. To feel is to believe. When you generate the emotional experience of already having what you desire, your inner world shifts into harmony with that vision. That alignment, powered by genuine emotion, begins to pull the corresponding reality toward you. It's not about forcing yourself to think positively, but allowing yourself to feel the reality of your wish fulfilled so strongly that it overrides your old patterns and beliefs. Emotion speaks directly to the deeper layers of consciousness. You may say the words, "I am wealthy," or "I am successful," but if you feel fear, doubt, or lack while saying them, it is the emotion that gets impressed, not the words. The subconscious accepts feeling as truth. This is why imagined experiences that carry emotional weight can be more impactful than real ones. A scene vividly felt in the mind with the same emotional depth as real life becomes a cause in consciousness that must produce its effect. You are not manifesting just through logic or planning. You are manifesting through energy, and emotion is the most powerful transmitter of that energy. Joy, gratitude, confidence, love, these are not just pleasant feelings. They are creative forces that open the way for new realities. When you feel as if your desire is already realized, and you allow that feeling to dominate your inner state, you become magnetic to its expression. Doubt, fear, and impatience drain that power. But even these emotions, when noticed, can become turning points. You can use them as signals to return to the feeling of fulfillment. It is not perfection that creates. It is persistence in returning to the emotional state that matches the life you want. The stronger and more sustained the feeling, the faster the outer world must comply. Emotion, more than anything else, determines what takes root in your subconscious and what becomes visible in your reality. Once you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled, once you have accepted internally that what you desire is already yours, life begins to move, often subtly at first, then unmistakably. You do not need to force the outcome or micromanage the path. Your responsibility is not to figure out how it will happen, but to remain faithful to the end you have imagined. The rest, the unfolding, the timing, the connections, belongs to a higher intelligence that organizes reality in perfect response to your inner state. Events will begin to unfold like stepping stones across a river. You may not see all the steps from the beginning, but the next one will always reveal itself when you stay in the state of fulfillment. People you've never met, situations you didn't plan, opportunities you couldn't have orchestrated, they will all appear, not randomly, but as part of the unseen bridge connecting your current reality to the one you've already accepted as true within. The bridge of events may not always look like progress. Sometimes it may take the form of loss, disruption, or unexpected change. But if you remain loyal to your assumption, you will come to recognize that even these moments are essential parts of the process. They are not detours. They are the very path itself. Life is rearranging itself to match your inner shift. Things that no longer align will fall away. New doors will open. You will be moved through a series of perfect events that lead directly to the realization of your desire. What may appear accidental or unrelated in the moment will, in hindsight, reveal itself as necessary and precise. You might meet someone in passing who changes the course of your life. You might stumble into a conversation that sparks the exact idea you needed. These are not coincidences. They are evidence that the bridge is unfolding, step by step, from your inner certainty to its outer manifestation. You are not meant to control the entire sequence. You are meant to trust it. Trust that once the assumption is made real within, the mechanism of life begins to operate on your behalf. Stay loyal to the end. Stay grounded in the feeling that it is already done. As long as you persist in the state of the wish fulfilled, the bridge of events will continue to carry you inevitably and perfectly to the full realization of your desire. So now you stand at the edge of everything you've imagined, no longer a seeker but a creator, no longer waiting but knowing. Your time has come, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. You have awakened to the truth that the power was never out there, it was always within you. Your imagination, your assumption, your feeling, your persistence. You no longer chase millions, you embody the state of already having them. And as you remain faithful to this inner reality, life will have no choice but to conform. This is not motivation, this is law. Dare to feel it real. Dare to live in the end. Refuse to be moved by appearances, and let the world rise to meet your unwavering vision. Walk boldly now, not as someone hoping, but as someone knowing, because the world will reflect the one who refuses to turn away from their inner truth. Your time has come. You will have millions, not someday, but the moment you claim it as already yours.